Okay, so this is the session for how to create or configure our development environment for PHP with Oracle. For the instance, we shall configure the development environment for PHP with Oracle development on Windows 10 with using XAMPP 3.2.4 and having Oracle 11g R2 Express Edition. My assumptions are you might have all three applications installed beforehand, so that when we start using these applications, we just have to configure them. With that being said, let's see what are the steps. First of all, verify whether your OCI library is available within your PHP or not. In order to do that, so this is the first step. Next, if it's not available, then you'll have some certain issues within your system. So how can we resolve it? We resolve it by having Oracle Instant Client. So you need to download the Oracle Instant Client. Once the Instant Client is downloaded, we extract them and we shift that particular path to the environment variable. We'll see those things. And then once that is done, another thing is you have to download the ociit library as well. In fact, this is DLL. We call it dynamic linking libraries. So ociit library will be downloaded from PCL. In fact, PCL is archival thing for PHP enhancements, and this is the link from where you could download ociit libraries. Okay, I've provided the link here. And then after, once the link has been once the file has been downloaded, make sure you download it in stable version. Then you need to copy those files and paste it in this location. Sometimes, maybe if you do not have the permission, Windows might ask you, do you want to replace? Say yes. And then enable the OCI library in php.ini. This is the very important part to do, because once you have downloaded and configured it at that location, so that doesn't confirm that everything is going to work smoothly. In order to let the PHP know that the development applications, or say the DLL dynamic linking libraries has been installed, you will have to let the PHP know about it. And for that, we have a configuration file called php.ini. We open it in Notepad, we look for OCI, and we simply remove the semicolon from it. And if it's say just ociit or something like that, then please rename it with OCI_11g. I'll show you one after another all the steps. Okay, and once this particular enabling part is been completed, what we do is finally verify whether the OCI library is now loaded in the PHP info or not. So if you remember, this was the first task we had completed here. So first of all, we were checking whether it's available or not. If it's available, you are bingo, you're good to go. Okay, but if it's not, then you'll have to follow all these steps. Let's start. First thing first. So let's say we have XAMPP here. Okay, we have XAMPP here, and then fine. So we have XAMPP here. Let's start the service. We are trying to achieve the first task, to verify OCI library availability. There must be something wrong. Okay, cool. So my port is 8585. Okay, so my port is 8585. So I go back to my favorite web browser. And I say localhost port 8585, and you say simply enter. The XAMPP dashboard will open up. For my time being, I have the port configured at 8585. You might have just localhost, so make sure of that thing. Okay, so make sure you might have this thing here at this location. Okay, so you might have just localhost slash dashboard, but for the time being I have localhost colon 8585. That is the port I have configured for myself, and here is on the top right you have PHP info. Simply click it. There are good ways of identifying here. The first thing you need to identify the architecture. Make sure you find the architecture. Step number one, you identify the architecture. It's 64-bit. Very important. You identify the architecture. It's 64-bit. Next, you start finding for OCI. It's MNOP, IJKLM. Okay, so if I see M, if I say O and I P, that says I have been missing OCI. So OCI is missing, that says we are here, it's missing. So if OCI 8 is not available, then go to the next task. So let's come to download Oracle Instant Client. And how do I do that? I simply go to oracle.com and I ask for Oracle Instant Client. So let's go to oracle.com. Oracle Instant Client. Fine, so this is it. I need it for 64-bit. Here we are. Basically, Oracle Instant Clients are used for communication between the application server and the database server. Oh goodness, my internet has gone away. I'll pause for a while and I'll resume. So here we go. We are trying to download the instant client. If you need the link, let me verify and then finally we'll copy the link. Okay, this is it. The basic package will be fine with us. 64-bit, the basic package is fine with us. I simply say download, so that I'll copy this link first. I'll put it here. Okay, I'll put it at this location. So this is from where we can achieve our instant client. No problem, you could say anywhere. Probably I have already downloaded it, so compressed. Okay, I simply say Control X, and I have somewhere um okay, let's place it in a folder called PHP and Oracle, so that at end of the lesson I can provide you all these files in the zip format. Here we are. Let's extract it. You don't need to do anything. If you take my recommendation, I highly recommend you simply copy it and place it in C drive. Place it in C drive. Otherwise, you could have placed anywhere and put the location or informed about it to the environment variables. Right now, it will be easy for me. Just for the easy part, I say I'll copy this location here, Control C, go to my computer, right click, properties, and we are done with Oracle client. Okay, here we are. Go to advanced system settings, environment variables, and look for system variables, and down the system variable you'll have path. Say edit. Okay, since we do not have the path mentioned here, I'll say new, Control V, say okay. Fine, even this is done. So if I go to Trello, I have completed this section. Let's say this task has been completed, so I'll simply drag it here. I have completed this task and I'll drag it here. Similarly, I have downloaded this, extracted it, and the path variable has been sent shipped over there. So I'll simply drag all these tasks to this place. Well, even this task has been achieved. Now, the important thing is download the ociit library. And where can you find it? So for saving your time, I have mentioned it here, so you can simply copy and go to that location. When you come to this place, you'll have few things to note. Just pause for a while, okay? You'll have few things to note. For PHP 7, what you need to identify is what is your PHP version for the time being. Okay, so remember what is your PHP version for the time being. Go to XAMPP or simply go to your PHP info. You would be able to see, even right on the top you can see it's PHP 7.4 or PHP version is 7.4. okay, so this will be helpful. Well, having that thing said, so once you have confirmed that it's 7.4, go back and download the thread safe 64-bit. Now, another thing, you have a confusion here. We have 86 and 64. Which one is supposed to be downloaded? If you remember, our system was 64-bit. How can we see that? Go to and right click it, go to this PC and right click it, right click, properties, you can confirm it from here as well. So we have 64-bit operating system, or in fact the more important part is to be able to download 64 or 86. It's right here. See, it's 64. It has to be architecture, has to be 64, 7.4 version and 64 architecture. So this confirms that this is the best file for us, or this is the needed file for us. Okay, let's download it in D drive maybe. Okay, so I simply downloaded it in D drive. You can go back and open up. Please ignore any pop-ups. So now if you go back here in your D drive, say you might have the version file downloaded. Okay, it's right here. So I say extract. So I might have the drive. And then we had PHP and Oracle. Very good. So that all our files will be together. That is just my concern. All our files will be together. PHP and Oracle. Yeah, we have the PHP OCI. Next important thing is just copy all the DLL and PDB files. This will be all. Control C, I simply copy it and place it to our extensions directory, XAMPP, PHP, ext. Okay, so we simply paste it here. It was probable that you might have done this thing earlier, or this file is present here at this location. So if if you get a prompt that you need to confirm replacement, just replace it, no issues. And see, we have OCI8, then we have OCI8_11G, then we have OCI8_12C. So you are prepared up to 12C. You have been prepared to connect. So this will work for up to 12C. In case of Oracle 18C and Oracle 19C, you'll have to download a separate DLL file. So having said that, for the time being, we are going to use Oracle 11G. So I would rather say PHP_OCI8_11G. Okay, so even this thing is done. Save it. So extract the files, copy all the files and paste it in C, XAMPP, PHP and XT. Done. If replacement confirmation for the pop-up is shown, then please click yes. So since all these things are done, put it here, task completed, done, done. I won't be able to use it here. Okay, so done. And finally done. Just in case we don't miss anything, okay, this is done just in case we don't miss anything and everything is in proper order. Now enable the OCI library in php.ini. It's very simple. Right here on the config, you go to php.ini. Place your cursor somewhere on the top and say Ctrl F, find OCI. Okay, let's see, where did I get? Here it is. So since the semicolon is right here, it says that it is disabled. So first of all, enable it. And what I want is OCI underscore 8 underscore, what was that? The name of the DLL. Let me confirm the name of the DLL. It says, okay, it says OCI 8 underscore 11G. Okay, you don't have to specify PHP over there because PHP is silent, because all our say db curl, so you say just curl enough, db enough, exif enough, exif is used for image processing and so on. So here if you go back, we will simply say OCI 8 underscore 11G. That would be more than sufficient. See, we have IMAP, Intel, GMP, XAMPP. So we don't say PHP underscore XAMPP, or you don't say .dll as well. Got the point? So that is it. Extension calls OCI 8 underscore 11G, and after the semicolon, that, okay, let's see. So after the semicolon, here we are. Use Oracle database 11G instant client for this. It could be any client. Doesn't have to be Oracle database 11G instant client. It could be any possible client. But this is the DLL, OCI 8 underscore 11G. Once it's been enabled, just remove the extension and it's enabled now. Don't forget to save the file. Even if you don't have the permission, say if you're not from the administrator group, then you might not be able to save this file. So please go through the administrator and save this file, because until unless you are not being able to save this file, nothing is going to happen. And for the time being, once you make any changes in the php.ini file, you'll have to restart the Apache server. Okay, things seems to be restarted. Now if I come back here and if I say hit refresh, it's taking for a while, rotating. Okay, I'm good to go. Fine, so now let's try to find OCI 8, whether it's been listed or not. PG, cross your fingers, OCI 8. Perfect, and it's enabled. This confirms that now I'll be able to communicate using PHP and Oracle say functions. Okay, although in practice what we do is We use PDO to connect even the Oracle database or the MySQL database or Postgres and so on. We use PDO actually. It's called PHP data object. We use that particular library. But even OCI libraries are very popular. They are very fast to execute in that sense. And the PDO has come at very late phase. ociit is since very early phase. Okay, it was built for 11G and so on. For that instruction we have here. Now let's confirm whether or not I'll be able to communicate with a PHP script with the Oracle database. Let's confirm. What have we done so far? php.ini, yes dear, modified, fine. Open notepad, done. Search and replace, done. ociit 11G, done. And don't forget to save the file and restart the Apache server. Even this is done. Now the last thing is to verify OCI library is loaded in PHP info. Even this is done. So I think this will be the second last thing. Oh my goodness, something has been okay. Fine. Now verify OCI library is loaded the php.ini not. So we have done that. Now actually it has to have the last thing is not mentioned here. Why don't we write a script and verify that PHP can be connected? For example, I have say cmd. Let's try to create a new user inside the Oracle database. Let's try to create okay. So let's say SQL plus. Sorry. What was I supposed to do? Layout and colors. Is the screen color has to be this. The screen background to black. 30. So 30. Okay, so here we are. So SQL plus username sys as sysdba, and the password. Fine. Let's create a new user for the time being. Create user. Okay, and since we have been using it for the web application, that's a web user. Web user identified by and just for simplicity or practice we can say the password is also same, web user. So let's say 1 2 so that you don't get confused. Okay, whenever Oracle creates a new user, they create a corresponding schema for that same name with that same name. Let's grant some permission to it. Oh god. Grant, say connect resource. Oh god. Resource, and let's say DBA to web user. Perfect. So having these privileges, now that particular user can connect. For example, if I say exit, I'll be able to log in SQL plus web user, and the password would be web user 12. Bingo, here we are. For example, if I verify select user from dual, see, I've been connected as web user. Well, with that information, I simply exit SQL plus and I exit the command line as well. So new user has been created. Next thing, I open up a notepad file, very simple file, notepad file. Now you might be wondering what am I up to. So I'm up to verifying whether or not all my applications are working perfectly and it can communicate with a .php file, and it can communicate with a .php file. Okay, let's clean up. Some cleaning going around. Very good. So if you have been introduced to PHP, we simply start a PHP file with a say PHP open tag. Let's have say $connection or link equals to OCI underscore connect. We have a built-in function called OCI underscore connect, which needs three arguments. The first argument is the username. It says web user. The second argument is the password. It says web user 12. The third argument is the connection string, and the easy connection string is your service server name slash the service name. For my service name, it's XE. I remember it. The slash here is important. The slash here is important. Well, or you could say ODI or okay. ODI OCI underscore error. In fact, OCI error is a special function that gets executed if the OCI connect is not successful. Die is a PHP function which wants the whole script to terminate if there is an error with a particular error message given by the OCI error message. Okay, so that says if we move any line further to it, if not $conec, oh god, if not dollar says what? Says that the connection is successful, ready to go. Or sorry, if the connection is not successful, then sorry, there is some issue. We can give a proper message, or else, in fact, all the business logic are done at this place. Okay, so or else we say simply echo we are ready to go. Fine. As simple as that. And please do not forget to close the connection. So we say OCI underscore close, and the argument is total connection. Now let's save it. While saving, keep two things in mind. The first thing is where to save the file. So in the XAMPP we have htdocs. In the htdocs you can create a folder. Let's say PHP Oracle test. So any folder that you create here is behaved as a website in itself. And I say connect .php. A PHP file has to have a .php as an extension. Make sure it's not .txt, rather all files. Otherwise the file extension would have been connect.php.txt. Do you want like this to happen? If that is the case, your PHP script will never get executed. Okay, so .php extension has to be there for a .php file. Let's save it. Now in order to execute this file, how do you do that? So you go to your browser and say localhost port 8585, because this is the server, and if you remember the folder name, it was php underscore Oracle. Oh god, that was not the folder name. Oracle underscore test, or what was it? Yes. Perfect. Oh, my mistake. The spelling of ready is R-E-A-D-Y. And if you are being able to see this, that says we are ready to execute our queries in the database. Okay. This is when all your stars are aligned. Okay, when you are at your best, everything is charming. Things doesn't go easy every time. What type of errors might encounter? So let's see what happens if your TNS Aura file is not configured properly or the listener service is down. Hope you have been following my discussion. So what if your TNS listener service is down? So if I go to Oracle and my listener service is down, it's not running. Let's look at the error. What happens? Did you see that? So there will be an error because of the TNS. So that says whenever the PHP application or the Apache web server executes, it connects via the TNS listener service. It's about the architecture. Okay, it's about the architecture, and that is what you have learned in data abstraction, or three level of web app architectures. So this is it. And what else can go wrong? Imagine our TNS listener is running fine, but the database server itself has stopped. Now if the server has stopped, what is the listener going to do? It will try to connect, but in vain. See, but the error message will change. Now the error message won't remain the same. The DBMS responds differently. See, the error message has changed to TNS listener does not currently know of the service requested in connect descriptor, because the service name was called XE. If you remember, localhost /XE, XE was the service name, and if the service descriptor is not known, means there has to be some issues. We have a file called TNS Aura file, and let's see what the network does actually. How does it communicate? Okay, so that you'll have all the background information, and while working with PHP, you should have some knowledge about these things, so that it will be easy for you to identify where the actual error lies. You should understand the development life cycle. Let me take you to Oracle installation. My Oracle installation file is right at this place. It says Oracle 11G Express Edition Release 2 installed. And if I go to app, I go to Oracle. Okay, I go to admin, network. Oh, it has to be somewhere product and network. Okay, here it is. And within the network we have DNS names.ora file and listener here. Okay, so if you go to the DNS names, what do I find? Okay, did you see that? It's called XE. So you might have similar type of different names. The service name could be anything depending upon your next installation, because on the server you can have multiple different databases running with some different service name, of course. So the DNS files can have different way of representation. So the XE localhost / XE represents this part, all the information, the service name here. And if you have to create a new service, simply copy paste this thing and start a new service. That's how things work. Okay, so let's go to listener. What do we find here? In fact, if you're a PHP developer, all these things will be maintained by the database administrator. They'll give you any information needed. Okay, rather you don't have to look for all those things. See, it has all the information. Where is the Oracle home, where is it installed, about those things. SID, the service name. See, the listener description is here. The host machine could be said CALP or could be said localhost. That is my computer name. And the default service listener has to be XE. Since there were multiple TNS names, or I could have multiple different descriptors in which the default service listener could be XE or XE2 or XE4 and so on. So that even if I don't specify, the XE, what will happen? Let's try. What will happen? Will it be able to connect or not? So since the service has already stopped, I'll go back to Oracle Service XE. I'll start it, and I was looking for the default service. So what if I do not specify the service name? You might have guessed the default service will be used. Let's confirm. It's still starting. There are a lot of processes it has to handle. I'll pause for a while. Okay, now if you can see, the Oracle XE service is running. Let's save this file. Let's refresh the browser. Bingo. So this is all about how your configuration files are laid out, like tns.ora and the listener.ora files. Hope you might have got some ideas about connectivity. This is not the usual thing that we do in the industry. There we use PDO. I repeat, there we use PDO to connect and to perform different operations in the database. We use object-oriented techniques. Okay, so this is just for verification whether or not now I'll be able to communicate with PHP and Oracle. Do you see that? We had a lot of other utilities to perform. those utilities has to be executed properly, otherwise you might be facing problems. Okay, fine. I think I'm done. Our objective has been met for this session. Thank you everyone. Thank you for the day.